warm welcome to Public Global. I'm Neelu Vyas. In the latest on the Iran and Israel conflict, Iran has targeted Israel's military intelligence facilities in its strikes on the southern part of the country on Thursday morning. Not a hospital, as was reported by some media outlets, Iran's state news agency IRNA has said. Now, the strikes were aimed at the Israeli headquarters, C-41 Telecommunications Corps headquarters, and an intelligence facility. This is what IRNA has said. Uh, Now, what is really happening, as what we saw yesterday, Ayatollah Khomeini, who is the supreme commander of Iran, categorically said that Iran will not surrender. And Donald Trump, as we all know, had cut short his G7 trip. He went back to Washington, and there now he has hosted a lunch for Asim Munir, and now is he going to use Asim Munir to leverage the situation in his favor for in the Iran-Israel conflict. So all this and much more we'll try and discuss as to which way this Iran and Israel war is heading to. Are we getting indications of a regime change as well? So we'll try and discuss all of this. Joining me now is independent media analyst Siddharth Sharma joins us this evening. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining. And according to the latest report, several media outlets have reported that basically Iran had targeted a hospital in Israel. But what is really happening? Do we see any backing down from both sides, or the both sides still remain belligerent? And the direction looks completely we do not know which way this war is headed to.
Yeah, well, rhetorically, both Iran and Israel have taken a very hardline stand, so nobody is backing off, at least rhetorically. But there might be things going on in the background, which I'll come to later. But the fundamental context of this entire conflict is that Israel-Iran war is a lesson for all of us as to how fanaticism extracts a huge toll on life and lifestyle of everyone, people not just there, but people everywhere around. Even the world is because of the fanaticism of Iran and Israel, entire world is suffering today. So with no border disputes and at least 1,000 kilometer gap between them, if still both of them are going at each other, it is because of the fanatical ideology of both. Now we all know that Israel has quality of weapons. The quality of weapons that Israel has is certainly superior to that of Iran, because Iran is undergoing a lot of sanctions. So the quality of weaponry of Israel is definitely higher, but Iran has quantity of weapons as well as a larger land area and strategic depth, including a huge population of nearly 9 crore people. So Israel is taking this as a T20 match, one-off T20 match, somehow to win it within the 3 hours. But Iran, it seems that it is treating this like a test match series. So the attack was started by Israel. The pretext was that Iran was going nuclear and they had to stop it. But as of now, even the IAEA or the independent analysts have said that even in the last 1 week or so, that this conflict has been going on, not more than 20% of Iran's nuclear capability has been damaged by Israel. The reason being that a lot of Iran's facilities, nuclear facilities, are deep underground. Israel doesn't have that kind of weapons through which they can bust those underground nuclear facilities. There are reports that certain facilities like Pardo are 300 feet below ground. So if 300 feet below ground something is there, Israel doesn't have that kind of weaponry. In fact, nobody has. Even the GBU bombs, the mother of all bombs, as it is colloquially called, which is in the hands of America, that too technically can destroy only targets, fortified targets, 200 feet below ground. So that being so, USA, now the main question is, why did USA is getting involved in this? USA is getting involved in this because 45 lawmakers in the United States are Jewish. So United States has a very strong Jewish lobby, and only 19 people are needed to flip to get get Mr. Trump impeached. So Trump is also under huge pressure from the Jewish lobby, which also has the numbers to support Israel in all the way it can. And by today's attack that Iran took on, in southern Israel. That shows that Iran has a good ballistic missile technology as well as stockpile. Going by reports, Iran has nearly 3,000 missiles at its disposal. So if the longer it goes on, the difficult it will become for Israel. And the most interesting
But
aspect is,
Siddharth, do
yeah,
you see this conflict between Iran and Israel as a long, protracted battle which might continue for a few weeks or months? Or do you see that Trump can really force Iran to surrender as what he has been hinting?
yeah. Now there are two possibilities from here that is going on. One, it's amply clear now that Israel by itself cannot achieve the stated objective with which it started the war, that is destroying Iran's nuclear stockpile or nuclear facilities. That Israel has been unable to attain. So now is United States is needed. Now United States can come into picture in two ways. One way, obviously, is to get involved in this war and attack Iran by itself. But then that would be opening a huge Pandora's box. It will be like hitting a stone on a beehive, because from that, what will automatically come out is that if America is going to attack Iran, which obviously the rhetoric shows right now, that means that once America attacks Iran, then automatically you give an open invitation to China to start these kind of activities in disputed areas of Taiwan. Again, you are giving Russia an open certificate or open invitation to go ahead and attack not just Ukraine, but Poland also. So that would lead to a third world war. The second aspect in this, that if USA attacks Iran, would be that there is a Strait of Hormuz, which is only 17 miles long, and that belongs to Iran's territorial waters. Through that Strait of Hormuz, 25% of the world's crude oil passes through. So if Iran blocks it through whatever technical means like mining or blockading ships, that means that 25% of the world's economy suddenly comes to a standstill. So America has to understand that that is also a possibility. The third and the biggest possibility is that if you go for that kind of attack on Iran, that would essentially be making that Iran becomes headless, Iran's government falls, and there are 9 crore people in Iran. America attacked Afghanistan to take out Taliban, and ultimately 10 years down the line, they have given it back to Taliban. America hasn't been successful in regime change either in Afghanistan or Vietnam or Korea or Iraq. All these places America had gone ahead and attacked. So America also knows that this will also displace nearly 9 crore people, that is Iranians. Many of them will become, millions of them can become refugees. A lot of them can go into
But
extremism.
if at all Trump goes in for the option of a regime change, then Trump also realizes that regime change is not going to come very smoothly for him too. So,
Yes.
would you think that he will bite that bullet, or he will still wait and force Iran to surrender, because that looks like a higher probability?
I don't think Iran, because again, it comes back to the fanatical ideology. I don't think there'll be a surrender. What I think is right now happening in realistic terms is that even though America has put on a lot of sanctions against Iran, but we know that behind the scenes, there is a track to diplomacy going on, and American interlocutors have been speaking to Iranian top politicians. Sometimes they sit in Oman, sometimes they sit in Rome, and they are trying to come out with some kind of negotiation. I think what the Trump administration's best bet, and that is where they are trying their best, is that they are trying to get through that track to diplomacy. And as per the AFP news, that is a US international news, just 1 hour ago, it said that this is not confirmed, but the Israeli foreign minister is ready to, Iranian foreign minister is ready to go to Geneva for some kind of talks. Now that is a uh, that is an unconfirmed news, but this news is coming from a very credible source, that is AFP news. I think if you can find that on Twitter, you can find it. I just found it on Twitter. So that being said, the best thing that is that everyone is trying right now is to somehow the United States, because United States does have leverage over Israel as well as Iran. Over Israel, it has obvious and overt what do you say, leverage with Iran also. They might not have overt leverage, but they do have some kind of covert leverage. And the way United States is projecting its force projections, like the entire navy is coming into the Middle East, their strato tankers are coming in from Europe and landing in Middle East. The force projection that they are making, I think they are trying to intimidate Iran into some kind of talks. And when I say talks, it's not going to be surrender, because it's an ideological thing. It's not going to be surrender. If you can draw an analogy for this, just like India and Pakistan, between them there was a skirmish on Operation Sindoor, and suddenly we found that Mr. Trump came in and there was a ceasefire. There was no other, what do you say, agreement as such. There was no other clear cut agreement or a written agreement as such, but it led to ceasefire.
No, but in the case of Iran and Israel, Donald Trump has ruled out the ceasefire. He's planning something bigger. He's thinking of demolishing all the nuclear programs of Iran, and this is what he has in mind. Now, regime change and all, we do not know, but yes, there have been threats from Israel that apparently Ayatollah Khomeini will be killed. That is the only way out. That is what Netanyahu has said in his interviews on Fox News. Then Ayatollah Khomeini gave interviews yesterday, and in a public address, he said that Iran will not surrender anyhow. Now, there is a certain belligerence on both sides, whether it is Israel or Iran. So, what do you think is a way out? Like what you said, that there is a track to diplomacy also, which is in operations. Which are the nations you think can play a big role, given the fact that Asim Munir, Pakistan Army Chief, was present with Donald Trump having lunch, and they've spoken on a range of issues. It's not only Operation Sindoor, but several other issues they've spoken on. So, what do you think, Donald Trump? How will he use Pakistan in this current skirmish between Israel and Iran? Can he use Pakistan, and will Pakistan be ready to leverage a position for America?
Well, the kind of pressure Mr. Trump is from the Jewish lobby, he has to show that belligerence and he has to be prepared for the worst. Now, this again comes back to the technical aspect, that this entire war was started to defang Iran and destroy its nuclear facility. And as I said, if the nuclear facility is 300 feet underground, the only ammunition that can destroy it technically, that at least theoretically, is a USA made bomb GPU, which can only be fitted on something called a B2 stealth bomber. And those B2 stealth bombers are in island called Diego Garcia near Maldives. Now, if worst comes to worst and America is forced to get into this war and they want to destroy that facility of Fardo, then according to the globe, if you can imagine the globe, if a B2 bomber flies from Diego Garcia near Maldives, before reaching Iran, it would have to go through some kind of refueling, and that will obviously happen in somewhere near Pakistan. That is why Mr. Asim Munir was spoken to yesterday and given such a high respect in the White House. Now, but besides that, because getting into Iran for USA is going to be like throwing a stone at the beehive, and what comes out of it, nobody knows. I think the best bet America is right now doing is that there are other countries also which are very much involved in this. Countries like Oman, countries like Qatar, countries like Saudi Arabia, who are into a huge, very intense track to diplomacy, because they also have certain leverage over Iran, because both of them come from the same religious background, that is Islam. So what
No,
is
but
happening is,
God forbid, but do you also see the possibility of the other Gulf nations in the Middle East getting engulfed into this war? Supposing what if Donald Trump decides to join the war? Then what happens? Do we see the entire Middle East going in flames, or if I may say, a complete turmoil or a complete turbulent position we might see in the Middle East,
I
if
don't
at all
think
America joins the war?
Uh, yeah, I don't think any of the governments of the Middle East will directly get involved in this war, even if the United States enters it, for the simple reason that most of the Middle East is economically self-sufficient because of the huge oil reserves that they have. So they have a certain lifestyle. So even if America attacks Iran, for example, America had attacked an Islamic Afghanistan, the Middle East kept quiet. America had attacked Islamic Libya, the Middle East kept quiet. America had attacked Islamic Iraq. So Middle East had kept quiet. So most of the Middle Eastern countries, the regimes that I'm speaking about, the governments will not get involved. But what will happen is that it's not just the governments. There are people on the ground. We also know that just because America withdrew its help from the Mujahideens in Afghanistan, we knew from the support the Americans gave to Mujahideens in the 1970s and the 80s led to a entity called Al Qaeda, which went against America. So there is a huge people. There is also a people angle. So people will obviously get angry. People on the streets, be it people on the streets of Egypt or people on the streets of Jordan or people on the streets of Qatar or people on the streets of United Arab Emirates, the entire the chance here is that there is Samuel Huntington had said that there might be a clash of civilizations. So this might even end up into a clash of civilizations, even if the governments of Middle East would not directly get involved in these attacks. But the people would get so upset and angry that a Muslim country, Iran, was attacked for no reason by America coming from 5,000, 10,000 kilometers away, can also lead to a lot of extremism and a lot of anger within the people. So essentially, I think America also knows it. What I personally feel as an analyst, how this way is going to pan out is that between Iran and Israel, a lot of high rhetoric will keep on. The high rhetoric will not come down. Between them, a lot of missiles will also be exchanged. A lot of casualties will keep happening. But at the same time, there will be a back channel diplomacy going on. And in some way or the other, I think because both of the governments, even Iran government knows that if you extend it too much, there can be a bombing on them itself and go for a regime change. Israel also knows that every day $285 million being spent just to ensure that no Iranian missile comes and falls on them. The air defense system that Israel is using from America, the THAAD and the Patriot air defense system, they are costing nearly $285 million every day. And add to it civilian casualties. Just like today, if Iran launched some ballistic missiles and they fell anywhere, whether they fell on a hospital or whether they fell on a military facility, but obviously it involves civilian casualty. So Israel also knows, the government of Israel also knows that dragging it in too much will obviously make people. Every day there are sirens going around Tehran to Tel Aviv. Everyone is running around bomb shelters. There is no normalcy. So I think because there is no normalcy either in Iran or in Israel, both the regimes will also be thinking that if we can get an honorable exit out of this. I think both of them are looking for an honorable exit. Now it's up to America to give them that kind of honorable exit. And I think Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Qatar are going to play a very important role. And I think between both of them, there'll not be any agreement as such. But suddenly you will find, I feel that you will find that the hostilities will suddenly come down, just like it happened during the ceasefire after Operation Sindhu. Uh, because otherwise, the other option here is that a global third world war kind of a thing, or an entire global supply chain of businesses and economy getting stuck, or a lot of extremism, because 9 crore people suddenly becoming refugees without a government, that leads to a huge chaos, because Iran is not a small country. Iran is a huge country, 9 crore people. If suddenly you go for that, it's very nice to hear about words like regime change, this, that, to bomb Mr. Khomeini. But the moment you take out, you go for a regime change, you just bomb people from sky. After that, the 9 crore people there, they become refugees because there's no government. Government is not giving them anything. The government supply chains collapse. And suddenly those 9 crore people, either they become refugees or they turn towards extremism. So that is going to open a new Pandora's box. And I think most of the world governments, including the Western countries, are aware of this situation, and they are planning, and I'm not just saying planning, they are working desperately for some kind of what do you say, behind the scenes interlocution, so that this works out, this does not escalate to the next level.
Right. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold as far as the Iran and Israel war is concerned. Can there be a regime change in Iran? These are the few options. Will Iran surrender? Can Trump force Iran to surrender? All these are big questions. So we'll have to wait and watch. It looks like a long, protracted battle. It's not going to end soon. But what about the lives which will be lost on both sides, whether it is Israel, whether it is Iran? Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining on Public Global. Thank you.